All right. All right, thank you. Being that it is 6 p.m. on Monday, May 16th, I'm going to open the meeting of the Abington Board of Selectmen. We have quorum, so we're good to go. We've got the town manager and the assistant town manager here. But as Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to start with that. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any public announcements this evening by any chance? Nope. Nope, I don't think so.
I didn't wear the white shirt, and I don't have any announcements. I failed miserably today.
I also do not have the white shirt on. Okay. All right, so this is a meeting that we put together for a couple things that we wanted to discuss. So first of all, we're starting right at 6 o'clock this evening. We have Mr. Jack Buckley here to review the bylaw review committee recommendations that you will find on the town meeting warrant, as well as the Community Preservation Act bylaw. Mr. Buckley, could you come up? We're ready when you are.
We're here to try to summarize what Andrew and I did with our two-member committee in revising the bylaws and amending the bylaws. I think all of you get a copy of the executive summary, which sort of summarizes the changes, some in substance, some really non-substantive, just corrections and references and so on. But the substantive changes were in the animal bylaw control. We also added the SAGE committee we incorporated them into the town bylaws as a committee to save Abington green environment. And we also, subsequent to the town meeting, had another meeting and drew up a Community Preservation Committee bylaw, which is required by the statute to establish. We tried to track it pretty much with the Hanover one and any other number of bylaw committees, community preservation committees that were established by bylaws in other communities. So, did everybody get a copy of the red line version, by the way?
You did?
Yes.
Did, okay.
Thank you.
So you know that the changes that we made in the animal bylaw is related to dogs. We removed the at-heel provision and called for a leash law in town. And beyond the leash law, we also, at the request of the Abington Summer Band Concert Committee and others, prohibited dogs, whether they're on a leash or not, from the venue at the Abington Summer Concert at the Joseph and Catherine Nisby Bandstand. And we also provided in the dog bylaw that there would be restrictions in the recreational area at Island Grove Pond from May 15th to November 15th, so that no dogs would be allowed south of the main walking path, east of the bridge and west of Park Avenue, which incorporates the recreational area in Island Grove. So those are and we also double the fines for anyone who violates the dog bylaw, whether it's the disposition of waste or not keeping them on a leash, or whatever violation of the bylaw they might incorporate. We also did a couple of things, and I'll get to the Community Preservation Committee in a moment, but we also did a couple of things relative to changing the jurisdiction of some issues. For example, on the field issue, we thought it was more appropriate to be with the planning board rather than the Board of Selectmen. I don't think there's been a number of petitions before the Board of Selectmen at any rate for that part of the bylaw. We also incorporated in the renewal of Class 2 used car licenses some requirement that there be, in their application, some recognition that there should be some green space on that site. I think if you drive through over the roads in the town of Abington, whether it's Bedford Street or Brockton Avenue, or you can see the proliferation of car lots without any nod to some economic, environmental consideration on the lots. And if you look at Brockton Avenue, which is not relevant to this particular bylaw, but if you look at Brockton Avenue from High Street to the Walmart, on the right-hand side going towards Brockton, I mean, not within your jurisdiction, but in my judgment, a blight on the community, and certainly is within the jurisdiction of the planning board and should be addressed. If you have, if you have any questions relative to the bylaw changes, and as I said, the substantive changes were not great, or far-reaching. I think we touched on the animal bylaw jurisdictions, the SAGE committee and the Community Preservation Committee, but beyond that, most of the changes that were put in place were bylaws that have been adopted by the town, were not incorporated in the overall bylaws of the town. We did give the town clerk some additional administrative authority to speak to the question of when things are out of sequence or not in order, and the numbering needs to be corrected, that she would have the ability to correct that. Do you have any questions relative to the general bylaws before we talk about what we're proposing with the Community Preservation Committee?
Just, Jack, just back
Yeah.
on the used car, the Class 2, where was that change? Right here.
It's chapter
Okay.
164.
Yeah, I got it, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what we're suggesting in 164 is that,
Pocket license.
and under K,
Yep, I see it.
if not required in connection with the approvals listed in the proceeding sentence, there shall be submitted a plot plan that at a minimum integrates green space to enhance the aesthetics of the licensed premises. And it's
Now, is
something
that
within the jurisdiction
for-
of the board, excuse me.
for new licenses? What about all
We're
these
talking about renewals, too.
on renewals,
So, yeah,
too?
and we're not asking them to come in with an engineering specification, but rather a plot plan that they would show some instance where they might incorporate some green space. And if the Board of Selectmen determines that there isn't space enough to do that, then that's within the jurisdiction of the Board of Selectmen. What we're asking to do
Probably can't at
is,
this point.
excuse me?
A lot of them probably can't at this point.
That's an issue that the Board of Selectmen can address, and we leave that authority with the Board of Selectmen, but we think there should be some attempt made to enhance the aesthetic quality of some of those lots. Some of them do have some space, and they just put the vehicles on the street practically. But if you look, the Board of Selectmen would have the ability to,
Yeah, the only
address that
the only
issue.
requirement is that they submit a plot plan, it doesn't mean.
yeah, that's right, yeah. And we're not asking for an engineering design or anything like that, but a plot plan which would incorporate at least some nod that they're trying to do something aesthetically on their lot.
Question quick, at the town
Yes.
meeting, will this document be available
They should both be available, both the
at town meeting?
red line, at town meeting.
I'm
yes.
I don't know how we're doing that, or is that something you guys will,
They're both up on the website now, I believe, the clean version and the red line version. Yeah.
they're on the
And
website?
then we'll have
okay.
copies at the town meeting, I guess.
That'll be determined, but just in case someone's wondering what exactly we're talking
Sure.
about, they can
Yeah,
see it on the
I think it's
website.
critical to have it, because I
People-
remember in the past, if you make changes without a red line version, people will say, what the heck are we voting
Sure,
on? And they'll
right.
generally vote it down.
Some of the red line versions on that animal control section, I mean, most of that incorporates the changes in the state statute since the bylaws will last a minute. So if one were to look at the red line version of that particular chapter, they would think we were reinventing the wheel, but that's not the case.
Just want to make sure that everybody has whatever they need
Yes,
at the time.
and they will have that, and they'll have
To stop things.
also whatever is agreed upon about the Community Preservation Committee and also the uniform citation section, which is all incorporated in one article. Our suggestion is to incorporate it into one article. That's a decision for the board to make with town manager as to whether or not that's the appropriate way to go.
Okay. Did you also want to speak to the community preservation?
Yes, we're proposing.
Unless you guys want to talk more about the, excuse me one second.
Yeah, excuse me, yeah.
You guys all set?
I'm all
I'm all
set.
set, yep, thank you.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We're proposing that in the article that the general bylaws and the report titled Uniform Citations and the report titled Community Preservation Committee be adopted, and or take any other action relative there too. But, so the Community Preservation Committee that is required to be incorporated in town bylaws because of the statutory requirement. Andrew and I looked at the Hanover bylaw, Community Preservation Committee. We tracked it pretty much. We didn't include all of the verbiage. We referenced the verbiage back to the statute, certainly in that section where we're talking about the powers and duties of the committee, which is section 4. And the reason the XXX is there is we don't have a number for that yet. We've asked the town clerk to, and she has, contacted General Code or whoever she has to contact to get the number. And that'll come back, and when that number comes back, then she'll have the ability to incorporate the Community Preservation Committee under that number within the bylaws. So what we're suggesting is, it's pretty straightforward. The composition and appointing authority of the committee is as follows. One member, A through E, are those designated by Planning Board, Conservation Commission, Historical Commission, Park and Recreation, or the Housing Authority, and the 4 members are to be appointed by the Board of Selectmen. The initial designations, which are designated, or 5 members designated, is in the 3rd paragraph of Section 3. Planning Board, 2-year term, Conservation, 2-year, Historical 1, Park and Rec 3, and Housing Authority 3. That's, that could be in reverse or however, but those were the numbers that we chose. We went over a number of times, more than a couple of times with town council to make sure that we had hopefully covered all the bases. The members appointed by the Board of Selectmen shall be appointed for 3-year terms under 3-2, and their initial appointments will be as stated there, and the vacancies shall be filled by the Board of Selectmen for the remainder of any unexpired term. Now, Andy has raised a couple of questions relative to the Community Preservation Committee establishment. And we have, and I'm not sure, I got this maybe 15
I know,
minutes ago.
I apologize.
It's okay.
I
So I'm not sure I'm,
look at it. And I'm
I've
just,
I've got it all in here, but the initial terms are designated in that 3rd paragraph. You would rather have them designated somewhere else? And I'm not sure what we're talking about here.
so in the Hanover one, which is, I think, the basis for what you guys used, it states specifically, 1 member from the planning board is designated by the board for an initial 2-year term and thereafter for a 3-year term.
That was a way Andrew and I had it when we sent it off to the town council.
Oh, really?
And it came back this way.
Really? That's interesting, okay.
So, what can I say? But I do believe that there is a section here where we're talking about members appointed after initial designations, I think there should be a line, or subsequent designations shall be for a period of 3 years.
Yes.
Which would be in addition to that third paragraph in the 3.1?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the same point, under the selectmen's, I'm not sure that we even have a subsequent appointments under the selectmen either, so we should do the same thing.
Yes.
That subsequent appointments will be for a period of 3 years.
And then my other point was.
Yes.
And I'm not sure, maybe I added them up wrong, but do
Yeah.
they come out so each one, 2, and 3 are 3-year?
I,
Each one of the
I looked-
3-year appointments?
I looked at that and I went through, now, wait a minute, what am I missing here? Because I came up with 3 2s, 4 3s, and 2 1s. I got no 4s.
So maybe you want to just go back and take a look. My point is, for 1-year terms, there should be 3. For 2-year terms, there should be 3. And for 3-year term, there should be 3 initially, so that each year.
Be 3, 3, and 3?
So that
Fine,
each year
that's
3
fine.
come up.
So 3 2s, 3 3s, and 3 1s?
That would be my suggestion, yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was
But
trying to.
I'm looking at it, and I'm reading it, it said, and all 4 selectmen appointees serving for 4 years?
No, I think, maybe I read it.
Yeah.
It should be
That
a
one
3-year
really threw me.
No, it should be a 3-year.
Okay, all right. So 3 2s, 3 2s, 3 3s, and 3 1s. Okay.
So as quickly as you were reading it, I was writing it, Jeff.
And the other point about the, being posted in the town office, bulletin board, and the town clerk, and on local access cable TV, we can incorporate that in the, in number 4-2.
So that was my
Yeah,
suggestion.
notice it said
4.2,
public
they just
hearing shall
add
be
in
posted
there,
on the town
bulletin
website, on the town website, on the town office building board, with the town clerk, on a local access cable TV at least 14 days prior thereto, so we'd incorporate those. So, I think that covers the basis, and we'll restructure the appointment, so there's 3 2s, 3 3s, and 3 1s. Okay. And, do you want, my question, do you want to handle this all as one motion to the town meeting, or do you want to have separate articles? What do you want to do?
For,
We have a CPC article, but you said you want to incorporate it.
incorporate it in the bylaws.
Right, in that one article.
Because right now, the way it's set up right now is what, we've got,
I think you could do it as
Article
one,
9.
right?
I
And then-
think so. I
It's
mean,
all one right
everyone,
now.
If you
it
want-
was
and if-
voted,
yeah,
so.
And if anybody wanted to exclude any particular one, they could
Yeah.
just exclude that particular one.
So include it all as one, and
Yeah.
when do you need the final print? Like yesterday? I'll get it to you tonight. All right, yeah. I'll email it to you tonight, so we'll incorporate those changes that we've talked about, and go from there. Any other questions on the CPC or the general bylaws?
any other questions? No, it looks like everybody's good. You don't need anything from us, you don't need a recommendation.
Thank you for all your time that you guys put into it.
Yeah,
I know
thank you,
it's,
Andy.
We had a great 2-member committee. We worked well together. And Andrew did all the hard work. All I did was give him some ideas, so, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you, guys.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's the voice. All right, good. So I think that's, that puts that aside. Put that away. Thank you guys for coming in and doing that. Moving on to our action or discussion items. The first item on the agenda has to do with, we were proposed with a question as to whether to reopen the town meeting warrant. I did a little check-in on some things. I wanted to know the details about the existing warrant, and what I can tell you guys, I'm sure you probably already know this, that the warrant itself for this meeting opened on February 22nd. We had it open for 8 weeks. It closed pursuant to that same vote on April 15th. As we can see here, there's about 30 articles or so currently.
Yeah, there was, we combined zoning.
Combined those in,
Originally done that.
okay. And here we are, less than a month before town meeting, correct? So that's the situation that we're at right now. So we, like I said, we've been asked whether there is a desire to open the warrant. We have an article or two that have been proposed. So before we even talk about that, I would send it out to the board. How do you guys feel about opening a warrant at this time? Anyone? Anyone?
I'm not in favor of opening the warrant right now. I think it's too close to the town meeting, and it's just too much else going on to be trying to open up a process 3 weeks before we go to town,
Yeah.
and then make all the amendments we'd have to make on the warrant and everything else. I just don't think it's the right thing to do, given the short period of time we have to do everything we need to do.
And it's not just one article now.
No, it's not. It could open up,
And we just can't afford the other anyway, so.
And the other thing too is the finance committee, my experience serving on the finance committee, you have a budget, numbers you work with, and you're, at this point, getting so close, you're already kind of determined where all the money's gonna go. Now, if people ask for money, where's it gonna come from? Someone's gonna have to be expecting, they've worked out deals, I use the term deals, but people are expecting a certain amount of money, and now all of a sudden, it's gonna have to come from somewhere, so.
That's true.
I don't think I'm in favor either.
And it's.
They have plenty of time. It was open for 2 months.
$13,000
That's-
more if we open up.
It was open for 2 months, and people had their chance to get their articles in at that point.
I obviously feel the same way, having done the numbers, and also having spent many years on the finance committee myself. That's a job that starts in January, and here we are, middle of May. So, Andy, did you have any comment?
Well, I think the other thing is it sets somewhat of a bad precedent, I think. This is kind of a routine, well, both of these are somewhat routine
They are.
articles that should have been
Those-
put in within the 8 weeks that the warrant was open, and to open it now for a non-routine matter, I think, is not a good precedent to set. So,
All right. Well, I would, as a chairman, I would absolutely agree with everything the board members have said. I would encourage anyone in the future, if they do decide to do a warrant article, that they note when the warrant opens and when the warrant closes. Having had that discussion, does anyone want to offer?
Can I just ask one question?
Certainly.
To Rick? Now, when we open the warrant, I assume each department in town is notified somehow, is it through mail or email, or is it both? or-
Yes, in this particular case, email went out the Wednesday following the Monday vote, so announcing the opening of the warrant and the closing date.
All right.
and I think we even actually added a couple of extra weeks onto what your initial recommendation was, I believe, so.
I recall
Yes.
that. So, based upon what I'm hearing here, I don't believe that there is any desire or need to open the warrant.
I don't even think it requires a vote, does it?
No, it
It's
doesn't
just a
require a vote
discussion.
unless we're gonna do it.
All right, so I believe that is the feeling, and again, I would encourage anyone in the future to be mindful of the dates, in case, unless there's some sort of emergency, of course, which,
Right.
we're all aware of that. All right, so do we have to talk to anyone who was proposing? You guys will get back to anyone who proposed an article, or?
Yes, well,
Okay.
I think the only other persons in the room right now besides the town clerk, so
All right, the clerk is not in.
secrets, yes.
Right, so, there you go. Well, thank you for.
I thought I was trying to address something that I felt needed to be addressed because of some many people, it's been 4 years, they were raised 4 years.
We appreciate that, so. All right, well,
We
great.
We can put that on as an agenda item and discuss it at a regular meeting, too,
In the future, that's,
Yes,
it might be correct.
All right, well, thank you, and thank you guys for your comments and your thoughts. So, moving along, Article number 2, discussion of additional, we don't have to do that? Okay. Vote to hold a hearing on May 23rd to lay out Mayflower Road as a public way and refer the matter to the planning board for report and recommendation. Could you speak to that?
This is a process that's been going on for well over a year. The planning board, as you, know that I'm not satisfied with the condition of Mayflower Road. They were not unwilling to accept it in its present form. They have been in negotiations that included town council with the bonding company for the developer to negotiate how much funds would be necessary to collect on that bond. That is now concluded. And for the legal process, for the planning board to be able to actually utilize bond funds, two things have to happen. It has to be laid out as a public roadway and accepted by town meeting. And in order for that to happen for June 6th, the schedule obviously is very short. We do have an article on the town meeting warrant, as you know, for the purpose to address Mayflower Road. It will be amended accordingly as recommended by town council. In addition, because the bond collection amount is over $100,000, that can't be part of the general acceptance article. The council's recommending that there be a second article. Anything within $100,000 can be accepted simply by the Board of Selectmen, but anything over that amount needs to be appropriated by town meeting specifically. So the planning board is now in a position where they've negotiated the bond amount to collect with the developer, and all we need is to have the road accepted and those funds approved by town meeting. This is the legal process that gets us there. You actually have to vote to lay out, that you're going to lay out the roadway, then hold the hearing, which would be next week, for a town meeting to be in a legal position to accept the roadway. And the hearing shouldn't be very long. The planning board has done its work to ensure that the boundaries are what they're supposed to be. You'll effectively be accepting a recommendation from the planning board in terms of laying out the roadway. Obviously, you're not required to do it, but in order for this to move forward in this construction season, rather than wait until next year, the window is short.
And we have a meeting scheduled for the 23rd.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Any questions?
And if we intended to do that, we would probably do that as the first item on the agenda. I know there are obviously residents that are very involved in trying to help this. We're very concerned about this going forward. They've been issues for some time, so I'm sorry, I think I...
Madam Chairman, I've been involved with this for about a year with the residents and a couple of members of the planning board. The developer walked away, and these people have unsafe catch basins, and it's just a mess. My feeling is we have to accept this so we can get the money and get it fixed. We're going after the bond. I think PMP estimated $110,000 to fix it, and we're getting 104.
Yes.
Something, rough numbers. And
140, 140, I believe, is the number.
140?
I believe so.
I thought it was 100.
You'll be certain by next week, trust me,
Yeah.
because it'll be part of your
Well,
agenda
whatever it
next
is,
week,
I
but,
think it can be repaired.
Could be correct.
And brought up to standards with that. And like Rick said, this is, we have to do this in order to be able to fix the road for the residents. They've been there, what, three years?
Right, I mean, obviously, this could happen later on in the fiscal, if there was a fall town meeting, but in order to take advantage of the conditions this year, to
Right.
try to get as much
We'd
done
like
as
to get
possible
it
would be helpful.
done and completed before winter.
Really, yeah.
I would make a motion to, at our next meeting on May 23rd, hold a hearing to lay out Mayflower Road as a public way.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion, any...
I would just complete the motion. Again, this was essentially written by town council, referring the matter to the planning
I
board.
thought we would just do it at that meeting, but if I have to word it, that's fine.
Because
And
they'll be making their report to you at this meeting
Oh,
on
at
the
the meeting?
23rd, yes.
Okay. And refer the matter to the planning board for a report and recommendation.
And that is my second.
You'll second the amended version. Okay, all of those in favor, holding the hearing?
Aye.
Aye? Aye. Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Since we're sort of talking about that, real quick, can we go over again who's coming in on the 23rd? So obviously, we'll have the planning board's recommendation, we'll have the open hearing.
Correct.
We're,
And we will have representatives of the articles on the town meeting warrant, the zoning. Also, we'll have a representative here from Colonial Power to give the board a brief overview of what this aggregation process is with regard to residential electricity. None of those in itself should take long, but there'll be probably 4 appointments. The budget, obviously, is meeting with the Finance Committee Wednesday, so there won't be any substantial changes from what you've already seen. And as far as any of it's a very small capital outlay plan this year. Most of the utility is town hall phones and library HVAC. So to the extent that you want to have somebody, Wayne would speak to those if you're interested. If you don't feel that's necessary, that, Maureen and I can coordinate that during the course of the week, so. Anything
The
else?
auditors can.
I'm sorry, the auditors, I knew there was, so.
And what was determined with the Southfield rezoning? Is that gonna, the planning board coming to that meeting, or are we talking about it afterwards? or
No,
what was it?
they're coming, yes.
They're coming to that meeting
Yes,
too?
the proponent
And they're
will be
meeting on the
here.
25th.
Yes, so,
But we're meeting on the 23rd.
correct.
With the Southfield folks.
That is correct,
Right.
yes. They will be here on the 23rd.
Oh, with Southfield,
Yeah.
okay.
Right, directly, right, meeting with them. So we've
They'll
got
be
the-
meeting with, again, multiple boards over the next, over a course of a week and a half, so.
We've got zoning, we've got Colonial Power, the auditors, Southfield. We'll take up the Mayflower Road. There'll be a discussion on the budget, where it is at that point.
Yes.
All right.
Do we want to start that meeting? That sounds like it's gonna be a lot of stuff.
Some of those will be brief, some of the, I think, to the extent that, the appointments come in first would be helpful, obviously, to the extent that there's discussions on town meeting articles or finances that don't require guests. If there's things that need to get pushed off to the 31st, I think those are the things we probably put towards the end of the agenda, so.
Auditors usually tend to drag it on, though, damn auditors.
I'm sure if we provide them with some parameters, they'll be, fortunately, they don't have much to say, which is a good thing, so.
And this is Tuesday. This is Tuesday after Memorial.
No, this is next Monday, you're right.
That's right, because then we have
30
another one.
Right, if we need the 31st, then, again, we've got it booked already for the Tuesday if necessary.
All right. Were you going to suggest that we met earlier? Is that the
Maybe
idea?
6 o'clock, maybe? If it's not, it seems like a lot of,
It's fine with me, it's a matter of, I'm here anyway, but I know it can be difficult for members of the board to get here at times, so whatever you prefer.
Be here by 6?
It's a
I'll
little-
try.
I'd say it's a little
It's a-
difficult for me to
it's a-
get here by 6, but definitely
well, no, we
6:30.
don't do it. Yes, that's
If
what
you
I'm-
don't, if you guys
No.
don't mind. I mean, I can make anything happen.
You're the
but-
chair.
Okay, 6:30 it is. Wielding awesome power.
There you go.
All right, do we, I don't think, I do not, so we're going to go with, if you don't mind, we're going to stay at 6:30 on that. Thank you, people can be here. That is the end of the agenda. If anyone has anything to bring up, you guys good? All right
To
then.
adjourn.
Second?
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.